to you live from our Love Television studios on Slaughterhouse Road in Belize City. This is the evening news for Wednesday, June 15th. We'll get started with the stories making the headlines for today. The Belize-Guatemala dispute discussed at the Organization of American States 46th General Assembly. No opposition representative was present. The People's United Party joins call for removal of newly appointed Northern Regional Health Manager. Man acquitted of 2011 murder. Elderly Abuse Awareness Day observed and Hilton Worldwide to open a luxury hotel on San Pedro Ambergris Key. The 46th General Assembly of the Organization of American States is currently underway in Santo Domingo, with representatives from all its member states. During this meeting, an approval was given on a declaration of support for Belize and Guatemala in their ongoing efforts to find a peaceful solution to the border dispute. The details of the declaration have not been issued just yet. Belize is being represented by its Foreign Minister, Wilfred Ellerington, who spoke at the Assembly saying that our country is working with Guatemala to see that this matter is resolved successfully at the International Court of Justice at the quickest time, and to ensure that between now and then that there is a peace between the people of both countries. According to an online report, Guatemala's foreign minister harped on the role played by the OAS in this insular and maritime dispute and noted, quote, "The OAS, with the financial assistance from the international community, maintains an important office in the adjacency zone between the two countries, promoting peace, culture, and confidence between people of both countries and governments. And recently, it has helped us develop local economic projects in the communities along the adjacency zone." Guatemala and Belize have reaffirmed their commitment to resolve their dispute in a definitive manner at the ICJ. End of quote. Both foreign ministers will be meeting in another round of negotiations on June 21st, where the work in formulating a mechanism, as was agreed to in Istanbul, Turkey, will begin. Love News has learned that the opposition was invited to the OAS meetings, but with Senator Eamon Courtney unable to attend and Lisa Schumann agreeing to go in his place, the government of Belize reportedly disinvited the opposition. The General Assembly meeting began last Friday and concludes tonight with a closing session. One of the recent issues in the health sector is in the north, where the post of Regional Health Manager for the Northern Regional Hospital in Orange Walk Town was awarded to Adibaldo Monima, who was once attached to the Belize Coast Guard. The issue became a point of concern when it was found out that Monima is not duly qualified to be managing the health operations for both the Orange Walk and Corozal districts. The opposition party issued a release today on the matter stating, quote, "The People's United Party Northern Caucus is shocked at the recent appointment of an obviously unqualified person to the post of health manager for the northern region. Mr. Adibaldo Monima does not meet the minimum academic requirements for such a crucial post and certainly has no experience in the medical field. His appointment not only defies the public service regulations, but is also disrespectful of every qualified Belizean who has acquired the specialized skills to fill this position." As for the post's term of reference, the regional health manager is expected to guide health policy for the specific region. It is unbelievable that the very qualified managers in the Ministry of Health will acquiesce to an irresponsible and evidently political appointment of this sort, putting at risk the very health status of an entire region of the country. The people of the Corozal and Orange Walk districts view this appointment with great concern, even as they are focused to assess the substandard health services at the Northern Regional Hospital that just last week was unable to perform surgeries, and the Corozal Community Hospital that lacks basic medications and support services. The PUP Northern Caucus calls on the Minister of Health and more so on the Minister of State in the Ministry of Health, who is a qualified medical practitioner, to immediately rescind this unconscionable appointment and ensure that the post is filled with a qualified health professional. The people of the North deserve no less. End of quote. With the recent International Monetary Fund's IMF report documented by the IMF staff on their 2-week visit to Belize, the preliminary reports were startling. The report addressed the slowing of the economy and the increase of the country's fiscal and external vulnerabilities. While the reports seemed alarming, Minister of State and Investment, Trade and Commerce Tracy Taker-Panton said while there is a cause for concern, there is no need to be alarmed.
Well, yes, there are concerns, and I don't know that the IMF, at least in my history, has ever given a good report on Belize or any other of the countries that they have done their assessment on. There are serious issues that we have to face. Certainly, looking at the debt servicing, in terms of our super bond payments, we're now moving from a situation where we're only going to be paying interest payments, so making principal payments. That bond issue has not gone away for us. The whole issue of obviously the corresponding bank situation, which is still a very delicate situation in this country and really is very important for us to solve as part of a regional dialogue, because it's not only Belize but certainly other members of the region as well facing the same challenges. For us, trying to broker the relationships to bring more foreign direct investment in Belize is critical so that we can have the foreign hard currency, if you will, to stimulate more business and also to be able to generate the kind of resources we need to deal with some of the commitments and some of the relationships in terms of moving Belize forward. We have a part to play. Certainly, there are other financial institutions in this country that have a part to play, but I think if we all do our part, we will be able to turn it around, hopefully turn it around quickly, and be able to imbue the kind of confidence we need to imbue in our partners such as the IMF.
The report mentioned exports falling by 9% as well as the rate of imports, which remains on the rise. Panton addressed the issues of the fall in exports.
I think that is well on its way to recovery, yes. There has been a decline in exports, and that is primarily due to the agricultural sector. You know, we had a disease that affected our shrimp farms. We had a challenge with the banana farms, with the papaya as well. I think that we are doing everything that we can in terms of attracting the right investors and partners to Belize to ensure that we can keep these and in agriculture it's cyclical almost, and that we'll be able to rebound, particularly in the agricultural sector. I know the shrimp sector is doing all it can to rebound. It takes some time. It's an 18-month process, and so but I think everything that can be done is being done, and certainly there's a lot of government support, not only from ourselves but from the Ministry of Agriculture, from BAHA and all the relevant agencies to try and ensure that we rebound as quickly as possible.
Advice from the IMF included structural reforms which can improve potential growth and improve competitiveness, which is needed to reduce the external vulnerabilities. 30-year-old Shane Gillett, an air condition and refrigeration maintenance technician charged with the murder of 84-year-old Samuel Price, the brother of former Prime Minister George Price, was acquitted of the charge today by Justice Adolph Lucas in a trial that was without jury. Price, who lived alone at mile 5.5 on the Philip Goldson Highway, was killed on April 15, 2011. He was bludgeoned with a blunt object, and there were injuries to the back of his head, the side of his head, and his body. His skull and one of his ribs were fractured. His body was discovered the following day by relatives. He was partly immersed in a tub of water. The Crown, represented by 3 Crown counsels, had called 10 witnesses, but the main evidence it relied on were alleged oral and written confession statements from Gillett. With regard to the oral confession, one witness, who was a neighbor of Gillett, where he lived in Burrell Boom, testified that Gillett told her he killed Price. But Justice Lucas found her to be an unreliable witness because she had testified to more than what she gave the police in her statement. Her reason for that was that the police did not record everything that she had said. Justice Lucas also found that the police officer who testified that he recorded the caution statement from Gillett was unreliable because he was unable to answer certain questions put to him by attorney Leroy Banner, who represented Gillett. In addition to that, none of the 3 police officers who testified were unable to say whether Gillett was fed or given anything to drink during the 36 hours he was in police custody. Therefore, Justice Lucas ruled that the statement was improperly obtained. A third factor that Justice Lucas took into consideration was that the fingerprints found at the scene did not match Gillett's fingerprints. This past Sunday afternoon, Marlon Bonner was gunned down on a basketball court at the corner of Fabers Road and Central American Boulevard. The police have been carrying an investigation and have one person in custody. Assistant Commissioner of Police Chester Williams gave us an update on the ongoing investigation, stating that they have established that 2 persons were involved in this crime.
We still have that one person of concern in custody. There are actually 2 persons. There was the gunman and then there was the lookout man. So there are 2 persons of interest. We have one of them in custody. We're still looking for the other one. We are hoping that we'll be able to get someone to give us a statement that we can move forward with the investigation. We are currently at a deadlock because of the fact that no one has come in to give a statement, even though there were several persons who actually witnessed the shooting. But as difficult as it is, we understand people's plight as to why they don't want to come in and give statement to us, and that's one of the reasons why we have been embarking so strongly on being proactive rather than being reactive, because we know and we understand the dynamics of investigating crimes on Southside Belize City. It is a very tedious task because of the fear that people have in giving statements to the police as it relates to any investigation. So we are trying to see how we can prevent crimes from occurring rather than having crimes occurring, then we have to investigate, because the investigation process will always be a difficult one. The saying always go is prevention is better than cure. So we're working with that motto right now, try to prevent as much as we can. And when any crime manifests itself, then we have to find ways and means as to how we can investigate them to see how we could bring those responsible to justice.
The lack of eyewitness statements keeps plaguing criminal investigations in Belize. In a separate interview, Chester Williams had mentioned that even though the police would like to implement a witness protection program, it is not something he foresees in the near future. Mahogany Bay Village, located on the south of Ambergris Caye, was built about 2 years ago. A village designed with a mixture of modern and British colonial architecture, which becomes the host of one of the world's most prestigious hotels in the world, Hilton Hotel. Mahogany Bay Village is the first property in Belize to host the Curio brand, which is a collection of independent, remarkable hotels, each backed by the strength of Hilton. Robert Helms is the sales and marketing manager of Mahogany Bay Village, when he spoke about hosting this luxury hotel.
Primarily, we'd like to welcome you to our great house. This is the largest building in the project at over 22,000 square feet. This is our lobby. In fact, if you were going to be a guest at the hotel, you would check in right here and then maybe have a beverage across the way. We have a 120-seat restaurant with alfresco dining. We have 3 bars in the building. We also have a meeting space, conference space, more than 5,000 square feet of conference space upstairs, and this is kind of the hub. As you probably know, a lot of folks who earn points through programs like Hilton Honors earn them while they're on business trips and then use those points to take a vacation and to travel. And we hope to be the recipient of that as well, since a lot of the folks who are Hilton Honors members, of course, don't have any idea until today that Hilton is now in Belize, and so that's going to be an exciting part of that.
Representing Hilton is Juan Corvinos, who is the Managing Director Development for Mexico, Central America, and Hispanic Caribbean regions. According to Corvinos, the Hilton Hotel has 52 million members. The goal is to get some of these loyal members to visit the Hilton Hotel in Belize.
There's been a lot of speculation about what is going to become of Mahogany Bay. This wonderful project will be soon the first Hilton Worldwide property in Belize, our entry into the country under the Curio Collection by Hilton flag. We're very proud to announce this partnership today with all of you distinguished guests, and also to applaud the opportunities that this presents for both guests, customers, and employees of the future hotel alike. We have 52 million loyal customers that we are going to be bringing hopefully at some point to Belize. We're very proud of this partnership because Mahogany Bay represents what is traditional from Belize, as well as all the good things that Belize have to show to our guests.
Minister of Tourism Manuel Heredia said the name brand hotel will benefit the tourism industry in Belize.
With the Sustainable Tourism Master Plan, we have been aiming to maintain in a not high-rise fashion, more boutique types, but also being able to blend with one or two international brands. And today we have witnessed the unveiling of Hilton through its through Curio, which it will be managing in this particular Mahogany Bay resort. And I believe that it is something great for Belize today. I believe all Belizeans are supposed to be proud about having a Hilton, which is one of the largest chains of hotels that we have in the world. And today I feel pleased. I think the industry is very happy about what is happening because it will just spread throughout. It will not just benefit Mahogany Bay Village, but also it will spread because when people from, you heard 52 million honor members that come over here and spread the word about Belize, about La Isla Bonita, it means a lot, and it will encourage other tourists to come to Belize also.
The project is estimated at $80 million, and the hotel hopes to be up and running by December of this year. Mahogany Bay Village includes stores such as Scuba School Belize, Rum and Bean, and Polish Salon. June 15th is internationally commemorated as Elderly Abuse Awareness Day. HelpAge Belize engaged in educational activities during the course of the day. Executive Director of the HelpAge Belize, Ivorine Bulwer, tells us more.
It's a day for us to create that level of awareness of what comprises elderly abuse. It may be maybe intentional, or it may be on a mission. And we recognize because of elder abuse, it certainly create stresses, whether physical, whether emotional, financial, but it certainly alters the quality of life of older persons, to the effect that it may hasten death.
Elderly abuse exists in Belize. Unfortunately, it's such a stigma. It's not something that we openly would speak about, and sometimes it exists passively. I mean, our parents may get old, our parents may become more dependent on us, but we are not trained or capable in regards to the care. So we may assume that we have them at home, but they might be in a room locked up. You understand? Or they may just be left in the wheelchair. The concept of care is holistic. We're not looking at just having them to get something to eat. They need at least some form of social activity, their exercise. They still have rights. Their basic rights are still needed to be respected as well.
HelpAge Belize says there are a number of cases where the elderly have been abused. Bulwer speaks about what kind of help the organization offers senior citizens when they suffer various forms of abuse.
In Belize, we are seeing all forms of elder abuse among our older persons. Very often we are seeing incidences of financial abuse, where persons have entrusted family members or loved ones to take care of their assets. And as they age and their mobility decline or mental decline, they then become a burden. And what happens? They are pushed aside, they are isolated, they are seriously neglected. We have had situations where we had gotten lawyers, and I mean lawyers that we can't afford to pay, but they have done it pro bono to follow up through these cases. As it pertains to health, we ensure that all our clients in areas where there's an NHI register with the NHI. We have met with the hospitals in towns countrywide to establish that relationship where there's a special clinic to serve our older persons.
On this day in which elderly abuse is being brought to the forefront, Bulwer had a special message for the people and the community, and especially the young people, on how they can help the elderly citizens in the country.
There are others out there who are not getting the attention. We need to ask them, who are your neighbors within your community? Say something to them, talk to them, they are certainly in need. They're in need to find out, do they get their dental checks? Do they get an annual checks? And it's important to address these issues because with age come illnesses, all right? And also we would want to encourage them to talk to the older persons. We want to encourage our young persons to also seek out, as part of community service, volunteerism, to talk and find out how can they help an older person within their community.
Activities were held in help-age centers across the country. Charge d'Affaires of the Venezuelan Embassy in Belize, Michael Lenin Castillo Pena, is on a familiarization visit to Punta Gorda. Paul Mahang has the details.
To be in much larger bulks, so also to have a couple of more larger storage areas so that the farmers could have access to also to export markets, not just locally for Toledo, but also probably outside of Belize as well.
Along with Mayor Fon Gutierrez at the meeting were Punta Gorda Town Councillors Lucy Cayetano, Afien Avila, and Luzane Gutierrez. Visiting Venezuelan Embassy Belize Charge d'Affaires Michael Lenin Castillo Pena was accompanied during his one-day familiarization visit to Punta Gorda and other parts of Toledo by Venezuelan Embassy Belize Social Coordinator Alfredo Gongora, Minister of Agriculture Focal Point Representative Emilio Montero, and Minister of Agriculture National Livestock Officer Eustachio Tush. Reporting for Love News, Paul Mahong, Punta Gorda.
The last update you heard of the build-up silt near the Bliss Institute of the Performing Arts was that dredging seemed as it had begun. However, the silt buildup is still there and getting worse. The buildup is located directly between the Bliss and the Fort Street Tourism Village. Today, we asked Minister of Tourism what was the latest of the dredging.
I don't know if they have started because as far as I'm concerned, the go-ahead had been given. I know that monies have been allocated and it is in conjunction with the village, BTB and the government of Belize. And then speaking with those investors, there will be a lot of dredging to be done and so. And if we cannot accomplish everything by then it is our hope that from over there we can go a step further. But definitely Cabinet had given it blessing, and I know that monies were allocated for that particular program.
How many monies?
I do not recall how much monies, but sufficient to be able to alleviate the problems that we have at this point.
While Heredia wasn't able to give a figure of what it would cost to dredge the area, Belize City Mayor Darrell Bradley told us it would cost about $2 million. After negotiations failed at carrying through with the Stake Bank project on the north side of Belize City, officials began looking at the feasibility of constructing a cruise port in the Port Loyola area of the old capital. Today, Tourism Minister Manuel Heredia gave the media an update on where talks currently stand in that regard.
If I'm not mistaken, it was just last week that we met with a group. They're looking also in partnership with Royal Caribbean. It is not a done deal, but they are doing their feasibility studies, and a lot had been done. I wasn't conscious that a lot had been done during the time of the past administration and Royal Caribbean, and I don't know if it was Belize Bank or whatever, but everybody is teaming up to see how we can develop the Port Loyola port, finalize that one. To me, as the minister, I believe that the economic impact to Southside Belize City, and then it will avoid also the congestion that we have around the village with so many buses having to be around that area. That area, I believe, can be designed. There is sufficient land over there to develop a first-class port for Belize City.
Michael Feinstein first launched the idea of the Stake Bank project in September 2013 and had said it would have been a $300 million investment. But the entire project failed when Prime Minister Dean Barrow had refused to grant a 25-year exclusivity contract for Stake Bank Cruise Port back in mid-January. Xunantunich is a Maya archaeological temple located in the Cayo district, where excavation was being done in one of the temples by the Department of Archaeology in collaboration with members of the Northern Arizona University. During the excavation process, the party found a stele buried in the area of the temple. A stele is a slab of stone that the Mayans once used to document and preserve the crucial events and milestones. Dr. John Morris, Director of Archaeology, addressed the invited guests yesterday afternoon at the Xunantunich site.
If you look over that side of the plaza there, there are a number of ongoing works there. We are doing conservation, exposing the buildings, and repointing the stonework, so that when visitors do come here, they have a better appreciation of what the ancient Maya did. If you look to your right hand side, you also see recent work that we have completed. Those are some rooms on top of this structure here. And this is an ongoing process that we've been doing for the last couple of years. What we are going to expose today is a new find here at the site of Xunantunich.
Dr. Morris went on to explain the events carved out on the stela that was found, including the story of the wife of one of the most powerful rulers in the Mayan city.
Various hieroglyphs that are carved onto the, and this is hard limestone. You can touch it.
Yeah.
You can touch it. This is hard limestone, but it's very smooth. And on the actual face of the staircase of this panel here, they would then carve in the storyline of which would tell us what exactly was occurring here. And it's very difficult to see, but if you come a bit closer, you would be able to see some of the numbers. The 0 and the bars, right? And those will tell us the date that would be on this stele. You could see it here more clearly. See the bar there and see the dates. No? And so essentially what this tells us is that we have the death of a woman who was the queen or the wife of Lord Khan II, the ruler at Karakol. So it's actually commemorating her death. And then the next date on it, which is a couple of years later, like 2 or 3 years later, is the date of the death of a ruler of Calakmul, which is another big site. And he more than likely was either the father or the husband of that lady. And so then 10 years later, there is another date on it, which talks about a ball game that took place, because the ancient Maya played this really nice ball game. And that ball game commemorates some kind of victory that the site of Naranjo had. So to some degree, it is a story, but the irony about it is that this thing here is not originally from here. This thing here was at the site of Karakol. It was removed by the people from Naranjo and then chopped up into various pieces, and a part ends up here at Xunantunich. Another part is at Ucanal, another site, and another part is at Naranjo. So these 3-4 sites got together to defeat Karakol.
Okay.
So they made alliances, and then they cut up the staircase in order to show that and then sent it out. So this little Xunantunich here at some point in time was involved in the big wars. The people from Naranjo came here, built the main temple over there, the big El Castillo over there. And so they took over this entire valley, because all of this was at one point in time under the control of Karakol.
Minister of State in the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports, Elodio Aragon Jr. was on hand for the presentation. In his address, he spoke of this discovery being far more than just a part of the Maya civilization.
This site is also, it's not only about the archaeological aspect of the Maya, but it's all about our heritage. It's all about educating our young people, our students across this country. And of course, it's something that brings in the tourist dollars. And that is very important for this country. And I know that the work here at NICH, the Institute, and along with Dr. Morris and Aldo, is our good friend from the University of Texas, you know. I know Dr. Awe has always been working here, and the staff at NICH and Aldo's, of you who are here, you know, you are testament to the great work and excavation and conservation of the buildings here. And I will tell you that without that, those of you putting in the work here, these things would not be a reality. A large part of it is finding the resources to do these excavations, and it's not easy for a small country like Belize. And you know, we are proud to have good partners in assisting to get these things done. You know, in the course of this recent excavation that has been done, you know, I just want to highlight the great work the University of Northern Arizona has been doing with us. I think this is not the first year you've been here, right?
They've been here for 2 years.
For 2 years now. You know, so that speaks for itself in terms of the kind of work that the students are doing here, along with our Belizeans who are partaking in the excavations.
The name Srunantinich means Stone Maiden. Legend has it that the Stone Maiden refers to the ghost of a woman who inhabited the site. The woman is said to be always dressed in a full white dress with fire-red eyes. It is said that she would be seen appearing in front of the El Castillo temple, ascending the stairs, and then disappearing into the stone wall. While the Hilton Hotel has a membership of 52,000 and some of the members are expected to visit Belize, it may become a concern for villagers, adding the number of go-karts and vehicles on the island. However, Minister of Tourism Manuel Heredia says a lot of work will be done in the near future to address the issue of congestion and overpopulation.
I wouldn't say there is an overcrowding of people. There might be somewhat of a congestion of vehicles, right, which is different. But at the same time, we have a plan. We are not sleeping over here. We have a plan, and if you have time, you can take a look on the other side of the airstrip. We are building an alternative road that will bring you from the marina where barges unload containers and heavy vehicles. That road will be exclusively for heavy vehicles, and then the main road leading to town will be for the smaller vehicles. And so at the same time, we are working on a second bridge that will also be used for heavy vehicles, and the now existing bridge will be used for the smaller one. Again, the subdivision that was very questionable during the times before election, and we have finally surveyed 1,000 of them with provisions for hospital, college, elementary school, police station, fire department, playgrounds, whatnot, everything in this master plan that was done for that area.
In Belize, there hasn't been much drastic action taken in changing or amending the laws to suit the LGBT community. As a matter of fact, outside of the social media rants and the attempt by Unibam's Caleb Orozco to have a change in Section 53 of the Constitution, there hasn't been much lobbying for anything else. But right next door to Belize, just across the Santa Elena border in the north, the country of Mexico has now legalized same-sex marriage in all of its states. On May 17, 2016, Mexico's President Enrique Peña Nieto had signed on to an initiative to amend Article 4 of the Mexican Constitution, which would legalize gay marriage in the entire country of Mexico, and not only a few states as it stood then. He had also submitted the bill to make the appropriate changes in the Civil Code. Earlier this month, Mexico's highest court legalized same-sex unions in a low-key move that not much people noticed. The Mexico Supreme Court published an opinion known as Jurisprudential Thesis, ruling that defining marriage as a union only between a man and a woman is discriminatory and in violation of Mexico's constitution. However, the Supreme Court decision did not go so far as to invalidate state laws, as local city clerks can still refuse to grant a marriage license to same-sex couples. The Catholic Church reportedly objected to the ruling, saying it goes against the basic family structure founded on marriage of a man and a woman. In the Latin American region, same-sex marriage has been advancing steadily, with Argentina being the first to legalize it in 2010, followed by Brazil and Uruguay. Other countries that have legalized gay marriage are Canada, France, the Netherlands, Portugal, South Africa, England, and the United States. Prior to legalizing gay marriage across Mexico, there were already a few states that were performing same-sex marriages, including Quintana Roo, Coahuila, and the Federal District. The Rotary Club of Port Moody, British Columbia, Canada, made a hefty donation of a 40-foot container of medical supplies to 3 Belizean agencies that provide health care. These are the Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital, Helpage Belize, and the Colby Foundation. The equipment was handed over this morning at the KHMH, and Dr. Adrian Coy, Director of Medical Services, tells us about some equipment that was received by the hospital.
We had 10 beds, which is a very great need for us. We've been systematically changing out patient beds, and that is where the patients, of course, are being nursed and taken care of. So if you're in an uncomfortable bed and you have to be there for several days, then that is something that affects even how you feel, the experience, and the quality of care. These beds have the ability to move up and down and do the different positions that are needed to get the patient in a better position for recovery. A lot of the beds we have are not mechanical, are manual, and we even have some beds that are from the hospital when it just moved over. So this is something that's big for us. Basic things, colostomy bags. Patients who had abdominal injury from gunshot wounds may end up with what they call a colostomy. And it's a very distressing thing, of course, that when you're having the need for a special bag to adhere, that it's not routinely available. It's not something that we buy. Most of the times we get as gifts. And sometimes very difficult for patients to source that locally, even at pharmacies, etc. So these type of donations help our patients quite a bit.
Dr. Koyi speaks about what maintenance will be provided for the upkeep of the equipment.
Of the equipment that we received were in very good condition and usable, and so we immediately put them into circulation. In-house, we have our biomedical engineers that do the servicing of everything. However, for more complex equipment, then we may have to have that outsourced. So in-house, I think this is something we can do without any extra expense.
Dr. Koyi stated that the equipment was put to immediate use. Earlier this week, there was a blackout in Belize City that lasted approximately 10 minutes. It affected the entire city and much more. The Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital, where the lives of people depend on machines connected to electricity. There were allegations that during the blackout, a person had died at the KHMH as a result of the hospital's generator not functioning properly. Today, we asked Dr. Adrian Coyi, the Director of Medical Services at the KHMH, about the allegations, and he dispelled them.
How do you...
I have not heard of that report, I'll say that, first of all. And I know that there was a complaint regarding the blackout, but to say that it directly resulted in someone dying, I would have to refute that. Secondly, we have a very well-maintained generator that is monthly tested, and so that does come on when we have our blackouts. Now, the important thing about that is that when the generator comes on, not every single location in the hospital will get current. Only the critical areas, the ICUs, operating theater, emergency room, etc. So, and then there in each ward, and so there are specific plugs that are also provided electricity. So I'm not really sure about what has happened here. We can investigate it, of course, and we take all of these complaints seriously. So if that person who has expressed it externally, if they come to us, let us know, and then we can proceed in a much more detailed manner.
Dr. Koyi stated that until this point he had not received any formal complaints about the death of a patient at the KHMH during the blackout. In commemoration of Elderly Abuse Awareness Day, HelpAge Belize received donations from various organizations. One of those was supplies from the Rotary Club of Port Moody, British Columbia, Canada. Executive Director of HelpAge Belize, Ivorine Bulwer, says the donation was greatly needed.
We had received 10 hospitals beds in excellent condition. Those beds were donated to us as a form of incommerna. However, when I observed the male unit of the Sister Cecilia homes, those beds needed to be changed. And that was important to give those beds to those males, and they are certainly happy with those beds. We received over 200 linens, and we have shared those linens with our branches in San Ignacio, the Sister Cecilia, and we have issued quite a number to our outpatient or outreach clients.
HelpAge Belize also received packages from the Radisson Hotel, Belize Sugar Industry, Belize Mills, Grace Kennedy, and gift packages from community youth group called Youth Ties. If you keep up with Assistant Commissioner of Police Chester Williams' Facebook page, you can now find daily murder updates on his Facebook status. For example, this post that he made yesterday concerning the murder of Marlon Bonner. We now have the suspected gunman, the man who was brave enough to go and shoot Mr. Bonner, barefaced in the presence of so many others. But the usual problem is manifesting itself. No one wants to give a statement. Today we spoke with ACP Williams about his new strategy behind using Facebook as a tool in investigations.
It is a new strategy I try to use now, where I can use social media to be able to reach out to a more broader audience in terms of what the police has been doing on Southside Belize City. So yes, I have been using my Facebook page to put information out for people to see. I do get a lot of people who give me information through social media, and I appreciate the information that we have been getting. Some good and some not too accurate, but at the end of the day, every information we get is important, and we look at it to see where we go from there. So it is a strategy I will continue to see how best we could build relationship with the public through social media. Social media is a very good thing. It's a very effective weapon that can be used in terms of fighting crime, and I want to see how best we can maximize on it.
Williams assures that information given to him via any medium, even on social media, is dealt with maximum confidentiality. As is customary on Wednesday evenings, the police engage in their normal meet and greet initiative. Today, we caught up with Assistant Commissioner of Police Chester Williams as he was walking the streets of the St. Martin de Porres area, accompanied by school children from the area. The area has been a hot spot for criminal activity for some time now. Today, Williams spoke about some things that the residents shared with the police.
Saying that they're seeing more of the police and they're satisfied with the work that the police has been doing. The ratings are good in terms of how they rate us, and they're also saying that they feel safe in the community. From their standpoint, crime is going down, and they're asking that the police keep up the good work that they have been doing in the St. Martin's de Porres area. Some of the concerns people speak about was the issue of the liquor license establishments opening late, and they also speak of the some of the people, some areas are saying that there are some young men who like to hang out on the street corner smoking weed, and these are the type of concern. But in terms of from the police standpoint as to how we perform our duties, there's practically no concerns, no complaint where the police is concerned.
As the police patrol the areas, they issue a questionnaire to scale residents' satisfaction with the police. Williams stated that the police received high rankings from the St. Martin de Porres residents. The highest they received was a 10, and the lowest was a 7. 20-year-old Glenford Baptist, who is serving a 25-year sentence for a murder conviction, was sentenced to 3 years today by Senior Magistrate Sharon Fraser after he pled guilty to a charge of drug trafficking. Senior Magistrate Fraser stipulated that the sentence is to run concurrently to any other sentence Baptist is serving. Baptist was charged with drug trafficking on April 8th, and a prison officer searched his cell and found 30 parcels, which amounted to 63 grams of cannabis. Baptist said a prison officer had given him the cannabis. A group of doctors, nurses, social workers, and others from the state of Mississippi in the United States were providing services at the Exodus Assembly of God Church in the Pickstock community. Church Administrator Shanda Zuniga tells us about the activities.
There's a medical group. They have been here for 3 days. Today is their last day. What they do is checkups. They give vitamins, worm pills. If you need ultrasounds, they have ultrasounds. They give out reading glasses. There are so many other things that they're doing. We have posted different flyers so people know from all over the community that they are here and they are working. The first day I thought they got about 100 people, and for the second day it was not so much, but we're busy again for today. We have from the youngest to the oldest coming here because it's for all ages. They have pediatricians here, and they have the dentists, the eye doctors, they're all here.
Coordinator Tim Tam from the Word at Work Ministry tells us about the ministry's work in Belize. Tam has been coming to Belize for more than 30 years. This year, he brought a group of about 30 people.
I've brought people from Pascagoula, Mississippi, and they've created this partnership with Exodus Church here on It's a new church on Pickstock, and they're just becoming great friends, doing a lot of different things together. Today is a medical clinic. They do lots of different outreaches to the community and training youth in a variety of ways and tutoring and feeding programs. It's a pretty incredible little church here on Pickstock.
The group conducted activities in Pickstock, 8 Miles Community and Colby Foundation. Our thought conditioners for today comes from Carlos Castaneda. It reads, quote, "We either make ourselves miserable or we make ourselves strong. The amount of work is the same." End of quote. This has been the evening news on Love Television, and we invite you to log on to our website at www.lovefm.com for transcripts of our news stories. Thank you for joining us. Have a safe and enjoyable evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. I am Taryn Butcher.